Welcome, Karl. What are the numbers, the polls telling us about President Trump's standing after 100 days?
Well, he's off to a good start only on one issue, and that is border security, where his approval rating is 11 points ahead of his overall approval rating. He gets reasonably good marks on immigration and handling of deportations, but even those he's upside down on. But you're right, Paul, when it gets to the economy, he is in very bad shape. And it's not only that he's in the short term in bad shape, there's also evidence in the poll that no matter, even if he gets his way on certain things like tariffs, that he's not good in the long run. Take a look at this. Trump policies. Today, will it help the economy? 32% say yes. Will it hurt the economy, his policies? 54% say no. 10% no difference. In the long run, will it help the country? 40%. In the long run, will it hurt the country? 51%. So there's some very deep-seated skepticism among ordinary Americans about the effect of the economy, the president's economic policies, both in the short run and the long run.
Well, that's really startling, Karl, because he was elected because people had more confidence in his ability to help the economy and lower prices than they did in Kamala Harris. So to what do you attribute that new skepticism or real concern about the economy?
Well, I have a slightly different view. I agree with you that they voted for him because they felt better, in my opinion, about they looked at the last 4 years under Biden-Harris and said, not good. And they looked at and remembered the 4 years under President Trump and said, those were a lot better. I think this was a hope. I don't think it was based upon a explicit understanding of what he was going to do. They just hoped that he would do better on inflation and jobs and economic growth. And then when he came in, just the sort of chaos and the inability of the administration to explain what they're doing, I think has hurt them very much. And it's also hurt them, frankly, even on the things that they're getting right. Think about border security. 55% of the American people approve of his handling of border security. And it's true. Go to the border. The flows across the border have greatly diminished and are completely manageable. He has yet to go to the border and explain to the American people what he did. And I think the same thing applies to the economic policies. All they know is there's tariffs and there's talks about taxes and blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't seem to be making things better when they look at the tangible things of going to the grocery store, filling up their car, and looking at the stock market returns of the 61% of American people who own shares in the markets.
Yeah, but isn't it a little early to really expect to see prices falling? I mean, you know, we've had 2%, we had 3% inflation when he took over. So that was still a problem.
Right.
I guess, why isn't he getting a bigger honeymoon? Do you think it's on the economic front and on the pricing front? Is it because of the tariffs, which are kind of frightening people, leading to uncertainty about whether business will invest? Are the tariffs the problem?
Well, I think the tariffs are a big problem because people instinctively understand it is a tax and that it's going to be a tax on them that they have to pay when they, Vietnam. Can you imagine 46% tariff on Vietnam, where one of the principal things they supply us is affordable school clothes? Can you imagine what would happen when millions of American families go back to outfit the kids for a new school year at the end of the summer and find themselves paying 40 and 50% more for the things that they bought a year before and thought were too expensive to begin with? So yes, I think as part of it is what he's talking about, but the other part of it is what he's not talking about. He's not talking about, here's what I'm doing to reduce to make our economy stronger and to reduce the burdens on our economy. For example, the deregulatory effort, $1.9 trillion of new regulatory burden imposed in just 4 years under Joe Biden. It was $870 billion of new regulatory burden on the economy in 8 years under Barack Obama. Trump is going to go in and undo a lot of that burden, but he's not out there explaining to the American people, I'm making it easier for American companies, American businesses, and you to get along with less government red tape and regulation taking money out of your pocket.
Well, what does he need to do, Karl, to pivot here to kind of get out of this polling slump and get people back having hope?
Well, I think two things. One is I think he needs to absolutely get trade agreements in which it is a you know, at one point he said it would be a beautiful situation if we had zero tariffs. Well, let's get some trade agreements with like Vietnam and others, Japan, Korea, others that want to get these kind of agreements in which there is a diminution of tariffs and non-tariff barriers to the importation of American goods and services abroad. And the American people say, you know what, that the bluff is working. And second of all, go and talk about the other things that you want to do, like getting a pro-growth tax reform passed, renewed, and talk about the things that you want to do to reduce the regulatory burden on the American economy. Pay more attention talking about them than deliberately engaging in an extended dialogue and argument with the Democrats over the importation, you know, the expulsion of a guy from Maryland to a prison in El Salvador. They're happy to have that conversation 7 days a week. They're not apparently excited about talking about these other things.